The five of you exit the reading room at the back of the Emerald City. Where do you go?
We go down into the basement, of course.
And?
Take the secret tunnel to the quarry.
You take the secret tunnel in the basement of the Emerald City to the quarry.
Yeah, Braxton's
there's a
usually
green
in charge.
and black book that you have to pull, and then a bookshelf will move to the side, and an old dripping concrete tunnel leads just outside of town to the old silver mine that turned into a quarry that is no longer in use.
Yep. The rail under the town leads you to this silver mine. The bookshelf closing up behind you as you all get in the cart. As you leave the bookshop behind, it goes from poured concrete to rough-hewn stone, and then back to concrete or some other material. Lights streak by as you move more and more quickly. And then the cart comes to a stop in a large, dark room.
I don't know how my mom hasn't noticed that tunnel yet, guys.
Well, I mean, as long as no one tries to buy that book, I think we're going to be okay. I mean, I think that's the only variable. But I mean, when you really look at how many books there are and you figure out what are the odds of someone buying that book, we are going to be safe for at least 6 or 7 seasons. I mean, years.
Braxton, that's how we found the tunnel in the first place all those years ago, was we were like, what's this book? It doesn't have a title on it. And we pulled it.
Yeah, but the odds of that happening twice, I mean, it's so astronomical. We're going to be fine for a while. At least, probably until we go to college.
I fixed that problem by putting the sleeve jacket for Nancy Reagan's autobiography over it. No one's touching that book.
That you know what? That changes the numbers. We'll probably get through retirement with that book covered like that. So we're good now. Good job, Clover.
As the group of you exit this cart, your voices echo in this vast chamber. And as Rowan's feet hit the ground, the lights come on slowly one at a time, starting with one over the group of you and then moving outward. And as they move outward, the giant room is illuminated. You see futuristic computer terminals. They don't look like anything made on Earth. You see seven almost like cryogenic chambers spaced around this room, and behind each one of them is this semi-translucent wall. You can't see exactly behind it, but you can see the color of the large shape behind it. You see the red, blue, black, green, yellow, pink, and silver. This is your secret base.
Or some of us like to call it their bedroom, since they ran away from home.
Again.
Clover, you really have to, if you're going to sleep here, Clover, you really cannot leave wrappers everywhere. It's a secret base. It has a motif and ambiance we were going for here. Please just clean up a little bit.
There is no trash pickup here.
It's starting to smell.
What's a motif? Bree asks as she just drops into one of the chairs and puts her feet up on the dash.
It's a way of them saying I'm very messy.
So now that you're
considering the pink and the silver suits.
Now that you're in your secret base, what is the plan before you head to the Harvest Festival?
Well, we have to talk to our mentor who, in scrolling back through the chat, the only thing I could find is it's a bunch of energy beings in a Mark suit.
Not quite. Yeah, your mentor, the one person who had this power that you're aware of before you, they once used the silver suit and the silver sea lion behind that large glass translucent wall. Who is this person to you? Who is this person specifically to Rowan?
I mean, this person is obviously a mentor and kind of a someone to aspire to be. There's a deep-seated feeling that Rowan has to want to impress this person to prove his leadership ability, and so I think this energy being, right, or just is a person. I've lost track.
We'll see.
Well,
We'll
We'll
see.
get there.
Okay, yeah. Is it named Mark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
I think that that is Bree's job to tell us because they are the closest to this person.
He's my uncle, sort of a surrogate dad, because Bree actually never really knew her dad. He's been there every holiday, every tough time with the bookstore, and to find him in a shining silver suit in like a mystical cavern, a year or so ago, however long it was like the biggest shock, but also just sort of not surprising at all. But yeah, that's her uncle, Mac Kowalski.
You ready for me to make it tragic? It's not surprising to Bree, but it was also a shock to discover him because he died 4 years ago, at least as far as you know. And the person that you now come to as this mentor, they cannot leave that chamber in the center of this space. When you walk into the large room, they appear before you as a hologram. You can see them through the icy the icy chamber that they're in, but you're never really talking to a human form. And they flicker on this projection as the five of you enter. And do you call yourselves rangers? Are you rangers? What is your group called? Probably should have came up with this beforehand.
Oh my god, who remembers? I thought we talked about
we
something.
didn't. I don't think we did.
In my head, I've always been calling us just the Gem Rangers because that's kind of how they always do, like Dino Thunder Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Right.
It's always a ranger, so kind of makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that hologram flickers on and he says, "Greetings, Rangers."
Uncle Mac, Rust is at it again.
Of course she is.
We think she's after the Harvest Festival.
And what is your plan? Do you have one yet? How can I be of service?
I think confirming that she's after the Harvest Festival is probably this first step.
Yeah, have you seen any extra activity from the dark side of do we know it's the dark side of the moon? We know it's the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
From the dark side of the moon?
We've been fighting her long enough.
Yeah, I think the he gestures with his right hand, sort of an open palm towards a computer terminal, and it flickers to life.
Yeah, Braxton will just go over to that and just start, click-clacking away and just watching the data fly. He's like, well, the gravitational pull on the moon hasn't shifted without the reasonable change. Usually when she launches a monster, there's more fluctuation than this. But statistically, if she's about rot and destroying it, it sounds preposterous to say this out loud, but I think a giant pumpkin might be a target for her. It's hard to argue that. Something that big, a world record pumpkin, decaying that and rotting it, it seems like something she'd want to do to just kind of kill the spirit of our town.
The town has been touting this record large pumpkin for the festival. It's supposed to be drawing in all the other smaller towns in.
Yeah, it is a pretty great pumpkin.
So if her goal is to decay like the fiber of these cities and destroy us all, turn us all into, empty ghost towns, it seems this moment would be a way of her damaging so many towns at once.
She really will bring the Rust Belt about.
That does seem to be her goal. The spread of decay among the towns around here. She wants to bring us all down so that she can have the power that you hold. Her generals only await her command. I assume you wouldn't be here if you didn't already combat with some decrepitudes.
Yeah, they tried to abscond with Alex for some reason.
I mean, that must have been, was that one of my past mistakes? What was my past mistake?
Well, the last time we fought Rust, you were the one that defeated her. You broke her staff, so I think maybe she has a vendetta against you.
I'm sure she does. It has been many years since I've seen her in person. I don't suppose I'll see her again, but she will be back. But where there are...
Last time when you fished this, the lifesaver guy, is it when you fished us out of the lake and traded our life for yours, so you ended up being stranded here forever? Isn't that the last time you saw her in person? My memory's not great, but...
This is something that we need to sit down and talk about.
Do we?
Bree just pulls her beanie over her eyes.
There will be time to talk of this in the future.
There's one important thing.
We're wasting time.
It's important, though. The pumpkin itself is the goal. Things don't make world record pumpkins on their own. So whatever made the pumpkin that large could be what's going to power Rust's monster.
I mean, we do have some good soil here.
Photosynthesis?
How big is this pumpkin?
Huge.
Bree has her phone and she's...
Record-breaking pumpkin. Yeah.
It's 10 pounds bigger than the previous record-breaking pumpkin, which was only just last year. That's not natural.
Yeah, but that pumpkin was made in Kentucky.
We can't let
where they have a longer growing season and
where are you going?
Better soil.
Are you saying
what are we
don't trust the pumpkin?
I don't think we trust the pumpkin. I think the deeper mystery is how this fuels Rust's occultist goals, and that's all I'm saying. Right, Gearhead, and then Gearhead does a little backflip. Gearhead usually is only more animated in the cave itself.
A Trojan pumpkin. Yes, it has a bunch of decrepit dudes inside of it.
So we smashed the pumpkin?
I wouldn't put it past Rust to put a bunch of decrepit dudes inside a pumpkin. But the 5 of you need to prepare. The time, I'm sure, is close at hand.
We must protect the pumpkin.
You must get to the Harvest Festival. Whether you have to protect the pumpkin or not, you will find out soon. But where there are a dozen decrepit dudes, there I'm sure are many more.
All right, so I run up behind Rowan because this is my favorite team event. He's gonna say our key phrase, and I'm gonna set off smoke and fireworks, and it's gonna be incredible. And yes, so I just wait for Rowan to start leading us. It's time to shine.
I gotta get my belt buckle.
You all know what this means. Clover, what are you doing? Back up. Back up. It's time to shine.
Oh wait, are we all supposed to do it together?
Yeah, I think you all need to do it together.
Okay.
Well, there's no way we're gonna say this at the same time.
Okay,
Power
ready?
of energy.
Yeah, Mark's got it.
On zero or
On
go?
zero. On
On
zero.
zero.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, 0.
It's time to
shine.
We are now going to have an elaborate transformation scene. We are going to start on the left of my screen, and I'll let you know who that is. And I want you to describe what your transformation item is and what your little transformation scene looks like. And we're starting with Rowan.
Oh, okay. I get to start. So yeah, Rowan drops the soccer ball that he's always carrying at his hip and flicks it up with his toes and gives it a punch. And as the soccer ball flies at the camera, you see him holding a patch, a little circular medallion that is apparently always hidden on the soccer ball. And he does some nice little moves and changes into his ranger outfit, a nice dark garnet red bodysuit with a medallion of a fierce looking gopher with 2 garnets for eyes that shine out. His helmet is a big kind of rounded helmet that kind of comes to a little bit of a point, almost like a little cute little gopher nose, and it's got 2 little round communication bumps at the top of the helmet on either side.
Excellent. Next up is Alex.
Okay, so Alex grabs their belt buckle, which is like gem tacked on plastic yellow gems in the shape of a C, and holds it out. And when they hold it out, automatically like crystals start forming and real gems start forming all the way down their arms and completely cover them, and then the gems shatter. And they're wearing, yeah, I know, I love Sailor Moon so much. Thought about transformations a lot, y'all. And they're wearing this like very geometric shaped suit with a lot of like the hard gem edges, and there's a gem kind of in the middle of their chest, a big yellow gem with like the shadow of a C inside.
Excellent. Braxton.
All right, Braxton, after he yells out, "It's time to shine." He's usually a very serious, like kind of stoic face kind of kid. Almost, some might think he was sad, but as I have a crying puppy next to me.
Don't puppy. Okay, buddy.
So he kind of has that serious, kind of sad look on his face. But right after saying "it's time to shine," his face kind of lightens up, and you see like a smile and energy in his eyes, and he stops. Yeah, so he adjusts his tie, very like James Bond. You imagine Pierce Brosnan when he's underwater on the jet ski. Adjusts his tie, puts his hand to his tie clip, and as he pulls his hand away, you just see sapphire-colored energy kind of go out, run up his arm, over his shoulder, and kind of just wrap around him almost like ribbon. And it just glows and pulsates for a second and just kind of pours off him, revealing a dark navy blue bodysuit, and slowly sapphire energy-like gauntlets and shoulder pads appear, and his glasses expand, going over his head, forming a full helmet. And he just looks down and like does that very confident boxer cracks the neck and shoulder thing, and he's like ready to go.
Bree.
when the catchphrase was coming, Bree kind of knew, so she had stood up and stood ready, kind of rolling her neck, and goes, "It's time to shine." And she moves her wrist in front of her, where you see sort of hidden almost amongst a bunch of other multicolored, like beaded and front and like braided bracelets, is this leather band with this medallion on it that has a bat on it. And she taps it and sort of moves her hand back over her hand, which becomes gloved, and then up her arm and across as a black bodysuit sort of envelops her. And it's pure black with these white, almost opalescent veins marking sort of like seams in her joints. Up across her chest, where this black gem obsidian bat sort of stretches almost from shoulder to shoulder and down the other way. And then she brings both hands up over her head, and her helmet, which is, compact around her head, has the two pointed ears of a bat, and then like the visor framed by fangs. And then she poses real cool.
And Clover.
Normally I do this very much separate from everyone else because they don't like how it looks. I know it disturbs them, but generally I throw Gearhead up in the air and like he's a baton or something, and then I catch him. But when I catch him, he's suddenly two squirrels, and then he's suddenly 3 squirrels, and then he's 4 squirrels, and then I start twirling them around myself, and they get larger and larger until they get mad, and then they bite me. Like they're lion-sized squirrels, and they bite me. One bites my shoulder, and then its head becomes a gem, and that becomes my pauldron. And another one bites me on the other one. Then one bites me on the head, and then every like joint there is a squirrel head that has latched onto me and bared its fangs.
And the 5 of you assemble and do poses. What pose do you all do when we get the full shot of the 5 of you with Red in the center?
I do like a C kind of fighting in a fighting stance. I'm getting really excited with like my feet apart in a fighting stance, and I'm over to a C but pointing in towards the center.
I'm going to match that energy and be on the far opposite side from Alex and do a C back towards her.
I think Braxton would kind of go into, since he's shorter, he'd go to the kneeling pose, kind of like the thinker, just go boom, drop his thing there like he's ready to go.
I do a double pump jump and then do the world's highest jumpy jack over all of them.
In the back?
In the back. In the flying squirrel, the complete flying squirrel pose.
Yes.
Rowan stands in the middle. He doesn't have a lot of space left to kind of move around, but in true gopher fashion, whenever they see a predator, they got to make themselves as big as possible. So he's got like his shoulders and arms kind of out in kind of a big kind of puffed up pose with his arms kind of cocked back, so that he fits neatly in the circle and the jumping jack, and doesn't kick Braxton in the head.
Excellent. The 5 of you get to the Harvest Festival. As you get there, the mayor is in the middle of doing a speech. You can see Alex sees James close by his side. There's a large crowd gathered. They all are facing a stage with banners and fall colored bunting around the edges of it. There's a podium in the middle where the mayor stands. Behind them is the pumpkin patch. Lots of little pumpkins with their jack-o'-lantern faces carved, and in the center of it all, one massive pumpkin, the largest pumpkin that you've ever seen. On the opposite side, behind the mayor, you see the corn maze. It's vast. this town likes to say it's got the biggest corn maze in the county. And the five of you enter the harvest festival on the opposite side of the pumpkin. The pumpkin between you and the crowd. People are excited. People are buying cotton candy and apple cider and candied apples, and you see families with kids, and off to one corner you see Bree sees Penny hanging out with the cool kids that Penny hangs out with. And it's always weird when you do this. Nobody seems to notice you until things actually happen. And as you...
Be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Right. We
As
all
you-
grab jack-o'-lanterns, the plastic jack-o'-lanterns, and are walking with them.
But as you get there, all of those small, smiling jack-o'-lantern pumpkins turn in their pumpkin patch, their vines quivering and shivering and moving around, and they all turn to face you. And the big pumpkin turns to face you. You can see its carved face dripping pumpkin juice and seeds from the mouth and eyes. You can see the bits of rot around its edges. And as it turns to see you, the vines below it gather up, and it rises up taller and taller, twice your height, with a viney body. And its vines gather around the little pumpkins, and little bodies form there as well. And you hear it laugh. Well, well, well. I thought I'd be facing the five of you. You can only protect this town for so long. Rust will have her way.
I called it Trojan Pumpkin.
Dream on.
We're about to turn you into pumpkin pie. Can that be a smack talk for my light turn there?
Yes, it can.
Talk to someone more powerful than me.
And I think that quip, we're going to turn you into pumpkin pie, is where we'll end this episode.